Good evening and welcome to the program. My name is Mnene.
And my name is Winnie Lubembe. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Joyce Wairimu.
The Nairobi court has barred Nairobi City County Governor Mike Sonko from accessing his office at City Hall until his 357 million shillings graft case is heard and determined.
Chief Magistrate Douglas Ogoti, while delivering the bail application, released the controversial governor on a cash bail of 15 million shillings or a bond of 30 million shillings.
Our reporter Jeff Kayamba with more details on that story.
Early in the morning within the Nairobi Milimani Law Court, the security apparatus took control of the entire vicinity, with the several roads leading to the court to be closed ahead of the Nairobi County Governor Mike Sonko's bail application ruling. At the entrance of the courtroom, the police officers, both regular, GSU and the KDF forces, uniformed and armed with no eyes blinking, took charge with an intent of providing a safe environment for the Chief Magistrate, Douglas Ogoti, to deliver his ruling.
All accused are hereby admitted to bail terms. These bail terms must be adhered to the letter. Any violation shall lead to cancellation of the bail terms.
The no-nonsense Douglas Ogoti slammed Governor Mike Sonko with hefty bail terms in the case, where he is charged of looting 357 million Kenyan shillings at City Hall.
Accused 1 to a bond of 30 million with one surety of similar amount and a cash bail of Kenya shillings 15 million.
But to add insult to the injury was the court's decision to bar Governor Mike Sonko from accessing his office.
The court, by virtue of the pronouncements of Ngugi J and Ngenye J, directs that accused 1 be barred from office. If need be, he can be escorted to his office by the IO in this case or any other authorized officer to enable him access and pick his belongings. Accused 1 is hereby required to ensure that his supporters do not cause disruption to any non-legal process or disrupt peace in whatever form.
These too many will create a constitutional crisis over the leadership of the Nairobi County, a county with no deputy governor, and for the last 2 years and operating with the acting county executive members.
So the only thing that applies now is for a speaker to take over. Why there's a crisis is because the speaker can only take over if there's a vacancy in the office of the governor.
Jonathan Mweke, the former deputy governor under the then Evans Kidero, says Speaker Beatrice Elachi has no mandate to take over Governor Mike Sonko's leadership, as there is no vacuum.
The court also barred him from appointing a deputy governor. The speaker cannot take over because there is no vacancy in the office of the governor. But it's also important to note that if the county is dissolved, you go back to an election. And it's not just the election of the governor. All the county reps will also have to go back to an election.
Governor Mike Sonko is facing a total of 19 charges in 2 separate files, with the prosecution claiming that he conspired with the rogue business people and the senior county government officials to embezzle more than 380 million Kenyan shillings from the county coffers.
Constitution Oversight Committee in Parliament, chaired by Jeremiah Kioni, has drafted a letter to begin the process of handing Nairobi back to national government. So we'll see how that goes. It could also go to the Supreme Court for an interpretation of what that really means.
Sonko's 15-team defense comprises of Cecil Miller, Nelson Harvey, Alphonse Mutinda, George Kithi, Michael Osundwa, and Harrison Kinyanjui. The others are the leader of the majority in the Senate, Kipchumba Murkomen, Makueni Senator Mutula Junior Kilonzo, and Makueni Member of Parliament Dan Manzo. The case will be mentioned on January 15th next year. The barring of Nairobi County Governor Mike Sonko from accessing the office now places the leadership of the Nairobi County in a leadership crisis. It remains unclear what exactly will happen for Beatrice Elachi after 60 days elapses as acting governor in Nairobi City. The big question remains, where will President Uhuru Kenyatta now call for a by-election? Reporting for Ebru TV, I'm Jeff Kayamba.
And sticking with the same, a number of leaders have expressed their reservations at the way the Nairobi governor case has been handled from the day he was arrested to today.
Former Kibwezi legislator Lubembe says the county chief seemed to be targeted unfairly.
Sisi tulikuwa nafikiria labda anti-corruption team wametreat pesa na wakaona Songo amepewa pesa ambao ni treated. So sisi tulikuwa nafikiria kimbizwa na ndege ili anaswe hizo pesa zipatikane. Sasa ile kitu nilishangaa na ameshtakiwa nayo ni ile hadithi ya zamani. Hadithi sivyo alikuwa jela, hadithi sivyo aliwekewa milioni 2 kabla hajakuwa mjumbe, kabla hajakuwa seneti.
Sisi hawahi kuona mtu ameweka pingu 2, naweka pingu mkono hii, pingu 2 na pingu 2 mkono nyingine. Si kuona haya hata kidogo, sababu nimeangalia ile mashtaka ambayo amewekewa, vile wameamua leo akasema 15 million na cash bail ama 30 million bond. Nikaona kusema ukweli nia yao ya kushika Songo ni kama walikuwa tu kumtoa katika ofisi.
Nairobi City County Senator Johnson Sakaja has now written to the Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka requesting for a special sitting to discuss the leadership crisis at the City Hall after a Nairobi court barred Governor Mike Mbovi Sonko from accessing his office.
The senators are currently on recess. However, Sakaja feels the absence of a substantive governor might put the county at a crossroad of a service delivery.
Now, some 30,000 people are expected at the Nyayo National Stadium, where President Uhuru Kenyatta will lead the country in marking the 55th Independence Day.
The day comes amid a mixture of BBI politics, tragic floods, closed airports, and a hole in City Hall. Take a look.
The national event to be observed at the newly refurbished Nyayo National Stadium comes on the backdrop of the BBI report, which was released a fortnight ago, and brought with it bridges of division, with a section of the political class pulling on different sides over its implementation. A situation that prompted a public dress down by the head of state. The state, however, says it is all systems go after 2 months of preparations, and now at least 30,000 Kenyans are expected to turn up and reflect on the country's achievements 55 years on.
As a National Celebration Committee, we are satisfied that what the technical teams have been doing is good and will provide us with an opportunity to celebrate a very colorful Jamhuri Day.
According to the steering committee, we should also expect foreign guests, including Barbados Prime Minister Miyamor Motley. This with security remaining a top priority for the government.
We are lucky this year we will have 2 guests who are international. We are liaising with Foreign Affairs so that we also make their attendance here memorable.
The day will also come with some inconveniences in air travel, with at least 2 of the country's leading airports temporarily closed due to the celebrations. The Jomo Kenyatta International Airport will be closed for 1 hour between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m., during which no flights will be allowed to take off or land. Wilson Airport, on the other hand, will experience a 5-hour closure between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. Fly 540 and East African Airlines, in separate notices issued on Wednesday, advised clients who had booked flights on the indicated time periods that their travel will be delayed. And if you plan to attend the event at the stadium, be advised to carry an umbrella, as the Meteorological Department says you should brace yourself for a very wet Jamhuri Day. Jamhuri Day is observed on December 12th every year as the date Kenya obtained independence from Britain. It is marked by festivities to celebrate the country's rich cultural heritage, socio-economic and political milestones.
Now, elsewhere, heavy rains continue to take its toll in some parts of the country, with the latest being Samburu and Isiolo counties, where a number of houses have been swept away after River Ewasonyiro broke its banks.
Elsewhere in Nakuru, it has emerged that thieves in Rongai area are taking the advantage of the floods to loot shops in the area.
The residents of Rongai, Nakuru County, are crying foul over the increasing number of theft in the area. The residents claim that thieves in the area are taking advantage of the floods that have forced businessmen and women to close their shops. They say that the thieves loot their shops that has left the owners of the shops staring at losses. The rains have been pounding different parts of the country, with the county government now urging the residents of Nakuru to be wary of the torrential floods. So far, those affected by floods in the area have been taking refuge in Cesarina Girls Boarding School. Other areas that have been adversely affected is Isiolo, Samburu County, where 5 hotels in the counties were flooded after River Ewasonyiro broke its banks following the ongoing heavy downpour. Samburu County Commissioner John Korir said all the staff and guests have been evacuated from the hotels. A private helicopter rescued helpless tourists who were marooned by the water. Most of the tourists and staff were caught unaware when the raging water swept into their rooms, destroying property. The Ministry of Water, led by Cabinet Secretary Simon Cheligui, stated that some dams are filled to the brink following the heavy downpour in the country that has claimed the lives of hundreds so far. According to meteorologists, the prevailing unusual weather condition has been caused by a phenomenon in the Indian Ocean, which causes an irregular fluctuation of the sea surface's temperatures. Low-lying counties of Kajiado, Kitui, Makueni, Machakos, and Taita Taveta have been put on alert after a monster tropical cyclone Belna made a devastating landfall in Madagascar. The Meteorological Department, however, assured that Kenya is largely safe because tropical cyclones do not form within 5 degrees north and 5 degrees south of the equator. In Kwale, at least 1,500 households have been displaced by floods in Lunga Lunga sub-county. After River Umba burst its banks, the government has set aside 6.1 billion for restoration of infrastructure damaged by raging floods, according to state spokesperson Saris Oguna. He said that the government will also resettle those displaced by recent adverse weathers and those wishing to return home in the coming 3 months. The weatherman has warned that these rains will likely persist till the end of December or the first week of the coming year in different regions. Abdiaziz Hashim, Ebru TV.
To politics now, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has insinuated that President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto are not working together.
Now, through his Twitter handle, the former VP says comments attributed to him suggesting that he is working with the deputy president are malicious and meant to drive a wedge between him and President Kenyatta.
This could now lead to Kenyans further speculating on the working relationship of the president and his deputy.
And Interior CS Fred Matiang'i has called upon political leaders to embrace diversity regardless of their political differences.
Matiang'i says this message as he ushered in the newly appointed National Cohesion and Integration Commission team led by its chairperson, Reverend Samuel Kobia.
Our reporter Amelia Kisenya has more on that story.
We shall endeavor to cohere the diverse identities in Kenya into a rainbow of one people, one nation, one destiny.
The 6 members led by their chairperson, Samuel Kobia, were nominated 2 months ago by President Uhuru Kenyatta before being forwarded to the National Assembly for approval. And today, the team that forms the NCIC Commission was being ushered in by the Ministry of Interior. Ushering in the newly appointed commission at the Ministry of Interior early today was CS Fred Matiang'i, who promised to work closely with the commission that aims at improving the national cohesion in the country.
Let us enjoy each other's company, even when we do not agree, because we're never going to agree all the time. The Englishmen say, fools seldom differ. In other words, people who are less endowed in terms of thought always agree on everything.
Matiang'i also further called upon political leaders, especially with the stretch of the BBI politics, to take heed of embracing their different political opinion as well as diversification.
People can have different views, that's okay. It's no cause to insult them, or it's no excuse to be unhappy with them and ask someone to fight another because we have different views. That's how we are going to live. This country is not going to go back to where we came from. We are moving forward to a modern environment that's characterized by diversity.
The newly appointed National Cohesion and Integration Commission consists of its chairperson, Reverend Samuel Kobia, the former Rangwe Member of Parliament, Philip Okundi, former Mandara East Member of Parliament, Abdulaziz Ali Farah, former Nairobi Finance Sec, Danfas Makori, former Vihiga Women Representative Dorcas Kedogo, Paris Nyutu, and Fatma Tabwara. The team will pick over from the former Speaker Francis Ole Kaparo, who has been at the helm of the commission since 2014. Mili Kesenya for Ebru TV.
Now, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has signed 3 bilateral agreements with the government of Suriname, one of which sets out a roadmap for the smallest South American country, to deploy an ambassador to Kenya.
Speaking after a closed-door meeting with Suriname Foreign Affairs Minister Polak Bale, Cabinet Secretary Monica Juma said the two countries also agreed to work together on areas including environment, food security and health.
Now, the country's foreign minister has also stated bilateral talks will help the two countries to forge a way for cooperation, which will enable them to exchange their experiences and capabilities.
We drive discussions and deliberations and global consensus around climate, which is a crisis, as we have been told in the ACP summit that has just concluded. And so we look to enhancing our ecotourism, environmental agenda and climate change agenda with cooperation with Suriname. We've also spoken about the need to grow our capacity, and we'll be talking about ways of exchanging experiences in our foreign service academies amongst our students at the university level, but more importantly, skills and competencies around areas such as food security, areas such as health, that focus on the development of our people.
Some of the main areas highlighted by Minister Juma, looking at agriculture, looking at trade and investment, looking at connectivity, air connectivity, where Kenyan Airways is already talking to Jamaica, and we propose that they also fly to Suriname, because Suriname is the place that is known for its closest capital to Africa. And it's also known for its closest capital in the Caribbean to Europe.
And to a rather sad story, I would say, a teacher at Timbwani Baptist Primary School in Likoni Sub-County, Mombasa County, has been arraigned in a Mombasa court on allegations of defiling a Class 8 pupil.
Mombasa resident magistrate Christine Ogweno denied him cash bail after he denied the charges.
Daniel Opondo, a teacher at Timbwani Baptist Primary School in Likoni, was accused of molesting the 14-year-old minor at his house. Appearing before Mombasa resident magistrate Christine Ogweno, Opondo was also charged with indecently touching the victim's private parts and penetration. The 14-year-old minor who sat for KCPE exams this year disappeared from their home in Majengo Mapya, Likoni area on 8th Sunday last week, and after thorough search, she was found in the house of her teacher, which is a few meters from their home. However, the accused denied the molestation charges and was released on a 200,000 bond and one surety of similar account. The case will be mentioned on 30th December this year. For Ebru TV.
Back to politics now. The Building Bridges Initiative report continues to cause ripple effects in the political class, with leaders now torn over the implementation of the report.
Tanga political faction allied to Deputy President Dr. William Ruto have continued to sell the narrative that the report should go to the August House as opposed to a referendum.
The Building Bridges Initiative report continues to ruffle some feathers as political leaders are now trying to weigh in their voices in regards to the implementation of the report.
BBI ambaye tutaunga mkono ni tuambiwe kama ni parliamentary system, tutasema hiyo ni sawa. Kama ni referendum, tutasema hiyo ni sawa. Lakini mambo ya kutuambia kuna tsunami na kututisha, sisi tunasema sorry plus mutio.
Encourage as many leaders as possible to meet for one single reason, that they must take this country forward.
This initiative has calmed the nation and put it on a course towards resolving its perennial election-related conflicts. We have committed to keenly read and understand the BBI report.
The Tanga political faction led by Deputy President William Ruto is continuing to drum up support for the parliamentary way as opposed to a referendum.
Don't want to create tensions in the communities as early as this. We don't want to create electioneering moods, because that messes up development, it messes up economic activities, especially business and other things. As much as we talk, let us encourage programs and thoughts that will support peaceful coexistence and development.
In particular, we renounce the increasing pattern where all political energies appear to be directed to the Mount Kenya region, where some politicians appear or are constantly insulting the president with impunity.
The political class will tomorrow be under one roof for the Jamhuri Day celebration after their penultimate meeting in Bomas, where the event is likely to be dominated by the politics of the report.
Kenyans are watching this political drama, and they should be conscious that the day of reckoning is coming. We urge that elected leaders show honor and mutual respect for one another.
This comes even as President Uhuru Kenyatta has time and time again directed leaders to stop confusing the citizens in matters relating to the report, but it seems his plea are falling on deaf ears. Abdiaziz is Ebru TV.
The National Treasury now says it has released a total of 11 billion shillings to 18 counties.
Acting Treasury CS Ukur Yatani, in a circular this evening, says the 18 counties had presented clear and acceptable plans for settlement of validated pending bills.
Yatani, who doubles as the Labour CS, said another 7.3 billion shillings has been released to 12 counties which have fully paid their pending bills.
This as the Council of Governors is once again bracing for a battle with the Treasury over what they say is a deliberate move to cripple county operations.
Consequent to the uncalled for move by the National Treasury, the Council has proceeded to petition the High Court to impose upon the National Treasury to immediately disperse the equitable share in compliance with the Constitution and the Public Finance Management Act. When you have such a problem that we have, that's the only place you can run to. So we are running there desperately because of the problems that we are encountering. You are here and you can see if all these people have not been paid on time. Usually I know at such a period, this is the time most of the debt payments are due. And instead of the National Treasury telling us that they are paying the external debts, let us wait, or they have a proper program of dispersing funds. They are now using tricks, saying pending bills, or some have not been paying pending bills. But even if I have not been paying pending bills, I must have reasons why I have not been doing so. And you can't stop funds because I'm not paying pending bills. Then how will I pay those pending bills?
Now, Kenya Wildlife Service rangers are searching for a lion that killed a herdsman at the Nairobi National Park Monday night.
18-year-old Weldon Kirui was mauled as his 7 colleagues watched.
Nairobi Police Chief Japheth Koome said the 8 herders were herding animals in the park when they were attacked by 2 lions. Langata Police Boss Elijah Mwangi said Kirui's remains were taken to the city mortuary. The other herders were arrested and detained for illegal herding of animals in the park. KWS acting head of communication Ngugi Geshaga said the search for the lions had been unsuccessful. Geshaga added that a lion trap that has been set in the location has not yet yielded anything up to now. He said a fresh team of rangers and a veterinarian are combing the area for the beasts, adding that big cats could have sneaked out of the park. He asked the public to be on the lookout and inform the authorities if they see the lions. KWS have urged members of the public to stay calm and not to venture out at night till the lions are captured. The Nairobi National Park is partly ringed by electric fencing. It is not entirely sealed off to allow for the traditional migrations of animals. The only park in the world in the vicinity of a city is the home of, among others, lions, leopards, rhinos, elephants, gazelles and buffaloes. The animals roam the park against the backdrop of distant skyscrapers. Busara Naman for Ebru TV.
Now, traders in Nakuru town want the county government of Nakuru to urgently fix the town's drainage system, which they say is an utter despair to avert storm-related losses.
The traders say their shops are flooding with stormwater as they count losses amid the ongoing torrential rain that has lashed the area.
Nakuru Young Traders Association Chairman Johnson Njeru says streets are strewn with solid waste and sewage, flooding streets, making them impassable. The traders, who claim to remit land rates and taxes on time to the county government, want the devolved unit to channel funds to repairs of wastewater drainage systems in the town of 2 million people to alleviate suffering in the ongoing rainy season.
Huwa nalipa kodi ndio wapewe huduma, hata kama ni ya kufagia hizo mitaro zikae sawasawa, zitolewe mchanga. Maji ikikuja kama hii, kama vile mvua inanyesha, na ni asante kwa Mwenyezi Mungu ametupea mvua, lakini mambo zingine inatupata, majanga zingine inatupata na maradhi ikiwa hizo mitaro hazijatolewa mchanga.
Days of heavy rains coupled with clogged wastewater terraces have led to floods in the town, making life exceptionally difficult to residents and traders in low-lying areas. Njeru says the traders have threatened to take up corrective measures by themselves if relevant authorities do nothing to cushion them against further losses and inconveniences courtesy of the rain.
Kuna mtu amelala kwa kazi mahali sababu hiyo mtaro inafaa kuwa imetolewa hiyo mchanga, ni imetolewa kabisa ndio hiyo maji iweze kuelekea kwenye inafaa.
However, in a hastily written notice, the County Directorate of Environment and Disaster Management says it has embarked on a joint response program that will help mitigate ravages of heavy rains in the town. The area governor Lee Kinyanjui has been lobbying for expansion of the drainage and sewerage system designed in the 1970s to align it with the soaring demand of a ballooning population in the town, but political interference has allegedly been casting its shadow on the project, holding back his bid. Nakuru is awaiting a city status charter, but development analysts in the area have downplayed the bid for a city, citing inadequate sanitation infrastructure in the town.
Now, a recent study on climate has shown that climate change and increasing energy demands are major global challenges at the top of the international agenda.
The government of Kenya, in line with this, says it is ready to mobilize additional resources externally and internally to scale up interventions against climate change and its effects to the economy.
Climatic suitability for the transmission of malaria continues to increase in highland areas of sub-Saharan Africa, such as Nairobi, which are among the most densely populated agroclimatic zones in sub-Saharan Africa. This poses a huge risk to children who, among other things, are particularly vulnerable to malnutrition as crop yield potential has reduced in Kenya for all major crops tracked. Changes in the climate have also greatly affected Kenya's livestock systems. Several major droughts since 2000 have affected tens of millions of people and cost billions of dollars in livestock losses, particularly in the arid and semi-arid lands that occupy 80 to 90% of Kenya's land area. They are expected to increase in frequency and intensity, with particularly severe consequences for vulnerable population groups such as children. The report warns that without accelerated intervention, this new era will come to define the health of people at every stage of their lives. To limit temperature rise, bold new approaches to policy making, research and business will be needed. It further says it will take the work of many of the 7.5 billion people currently alive to ensure that the health of a child born today is not defined by changing climate. Winnie Lubembe for Ebru TV.
Well, time now for a very short break. When we come back, more news that made headlines today.
Well, thank you very much for staying with us, and that is on Ebru News Prime Time News. Of course, like we said, we still have lots of stories in store for you.
Well, we move on now to the world of business. Residents of Naivasha have threatened to boycott paying taxes to the government following the sorry state of roads in the area.
Moi South Lake Road has seen residents' activities on a go-slow as a section of it has cut off. Take a look.
The road, dubbed Kenya's richest road, has been dilapidated despite earning the government millions of shillings in revenue. It is this road that serves 90% of Kenya's flower farms, tens of tourists, hotels and lodges, while it also harbors key government installations. But for the last 3 years, the road has been rendered impassable, with motorists incurring huge losses maintaining their vehicles. Potholes, some as deep as 3 feet, have characterized the road that also leads to Hell's Gate National Park and Olkaria Geothermal Project, where the government has invested heavily.
Saa ikawa ingekuwa mzuri watutengenezee, ndio tungesema ni mzuri sana. Na Uhuru atukumbuke. Sisi kama kwa hii Naivasha tulijitokeza kabisa. Lakini saizi ameshasahau na sisi. Tungemuomba tu kama anaweza kuwa anatusikia tu penye yako. Atujali.
With the ongoing rains, activities have halted, as the entire road has been rendered impassable, with residents being forced to use alternative long routes to access the lakeside town. 2 months ago, residents from Karagita, DCK, Kamere and Kwamohia estates held 2-day demonstrations to protest over its poor status, and their pleas attracted statements from various government departments. Transport CS James Masharia, while presiding over the World Habitat Day a week later, said that they had identified a contractor who would begin rehabilitation work. But according to the residents, this is yet to commence.
Sana sana wageni wanatoka hapa kwa hiyo hoteli yangu hapa Chambai, huwa ni shida tena kuenda hiyo side nyingine, kuenda huko side za Oserian ama maybe mkutano mkubwa wa government ukiwa hiyo side hawezi enda, inabidi sasa watumie mguu. Hii barabara imekaa muda mrefu sana. Tunaendelea tu kusumbuka sababu hakuna mtu anatutetea.
Tumekuwa tukiandamana, lakini wanakuja wanapima. Wanakuja tu wanajipimisha siku kadhaa. Sijui kama ni ukweli ama, lakini kama ingekuwa ni ukweli si wangekuwa saizi wameshaanza. Lakini juu wanakuja tu wanatupimanisha, walafu wanarudi wanaenda. Lakini hatujaiona action yenye imechukuliwa.
Inabidi niweke pikipiki kando, nikuje nionyeshe magari barabara. Saizi angalia venye magari zinahangaika kwa barabara. Nimelewa juu ya magari, tukuje tuonyeshe magari, zinashinda zikiharibika kwa barabara. Hii barabara tumeomba mara mingi tuundiwe, hatuwezi kuundiwa. Tunahitaji usaidizi.
His sentiments being supported by other road users in the area. A motorist, Francis Nderi, said that gushing waters had flooded the 2 sections and swept off the tarmac, exposing motorists to danger, with leaders not taking responsibility. While a boda rider, Valentine Shikuku, saying they have been forced to charge extra money to transport residents through the road. For Ebru News, Musa Amir.
Now, importers are free to choose the preferred mode of transport for their cargo, whether by standard gauge railway or trucks, since a suspension order is still in force.
According to the government spokesperson Cyrus Oguna, the suspended order on transportation of cargo from Mombasa to Nairobi by SGR gives importers the freedom to choose which means to ferry their cargo.
Transporters have given the government a week to lift the mandatory standard gauge railway rule as they suspend weekly demonstrations. This comes after a directive by the Senate Committee on Transport, which has asked the Transport Ministry to allow business community choose their preferred mode of transport for their imports and exports. However, importers are now free to choose the preferred mode of transport for their cargo, whether the SGR or trucks, since the suspension order is still in force. These remarks came in the wake of claims by a section of importers that they were being forced to transport their cargo via the SGR. The government has since maintained its stand that importers are free to choose which mode of transport to ferry the goods from the Kenya Ports Authority in Mombasa. This comes amid protests by business people accusing the government of monopolizing businesses at the port by insisting that cargo be transported by the SGR to the Nairobi Inland Container Depot. During a media tour at the KPA, operations manager William Ruto said that they were loading containers on about 700 to 1,000 trucks daily and declined having direct interactions with transporters. The ministry is also expected to allow business through container freight stations, which are facing permanent closure under the SGR Cargo Directive, which requires all imported destined for upcountry be directly moved via SGR to the Nairobi Inland Container Depot. Though Transport CS James Masharia has in the last 2 months insisted the rule had been reversed, all cargo has continued to be moved through the SGR. The business community say which the directive being implemented by Kenya Ports Authority, Kenya Railways and Kenya Revenue Authority under the stewardship of Transport Ministry. Njeri Njogu for Ebru TV.
Moving on now, Mombasa residents will have fresh water after installation of solar-powered desalination plant.
The residents who suffer from critical water shortage will benefit from the solar-powered desalination unit, which will be turning salt water into fresh, clean and safe water.
The solar-powered desalination plant have been launched in Mutongawe area in the outskirts of Mombasa. According to the Mission Chief Executive Officer, Murtaza Jeffa, they are determined to enable poor communities have access to clean drinking water.
So we're trying to put water in the village, drinking water fountain for people in the village, which they will not be charged. Plus also, we're looking into putting some spotlights in the village.
Jeffa says that they are committed to supporting strategies and enhancing the livelihoods of various communities through empowerment projects.
At night, they have light. So it's a question of building up the community around you and training the youth. There's so much unemployment. A lot of kids are falling out of school. So we want to start a high technology school here.
He has also noted that the intention is to train the local community to take up farming for their livelihood strategies, economic and social sustainability.
The challenge is for the community. The community that has not tasted fresh water and not had power for as long as they remember, sometimes don't believe that it is possible that you can put water through a machine and it comes out clean.
Boreal Light Chief Executive Officer Hamed Beshiti says the project is dedicated to the implementation of green technologies.
And in this project, the full project, as I said, is running in solar, and we transformed the whole center to a renewable-based center, off-grid center, with wind energy, solar energy, and the machine and the other electricity facility here are all running on solar and wind power.
According to the residents, the Heathrow spent valuable time in search of the precious commodity and are glad to collect it from water kiosks at their doorsteps.
Twashukuru kupata mradi wa maji kwa sababu katika hiki kituo tulikuwa tunateseka sana na maji. Tulivyopata maji mara kwanza yalikuwa kwa maji ambayo huwezi kutumia kwa kunwa, yalikuwa kwa chumvi zaidi. Kwa sasa hii twashukuru kwa kupata mradi na pia tutajiendeleza kwa sababu ungana kwa magroup na tutaanza biashara ya kuuza maji fresh.
Wengine wakitumia maji haya wakifika nyumbani wanasema matumbo yanauma kwa sababu maji yalikuwa yako chumvi. Sasa tunashukuru ili shirika kwa kuletea mradi wa maji.
The local communities will also be trained to adopt modern agricultural practices of the individual land holding in order to increase productivity and ensure food sustainability.
Now, across our borders now, Britain's political leaders are making a final push for votes ahead of tomorrow's general election, which has been dominated by the issue of Britain's exit from the European Union.
Many analysts say the party's manifestos are misleading on Brexit and the agonizing over the Britain's future.
Fishing makes up 0.1% of the British economy, but it holds symbolic value for many pro-Brexit voters who want control of British waters and the ability to block European fishing boats.
It's an opportunity here to look at one of the ways in which this country will be able to take back control of a massive industry once we get Brexit done in January.
but 3/4 of British caught fish is exported, most of it to the European Union, and any trade barriers could hurt the industry. Such Brexit trade-offs have been largely ignored, according to a new report, which warns that all the parties' manifestos are a bit fishy when it comes to Brexit. The Conservative Party's mantra is "Get Brexit done," but Britain has yet to negotiate its future relationship with the EU, and that will likely take years.
Now, one of the things that the Conservatives said is we can get a good trade deal done with the EU by December 2020. We're not going to ask for another extension. That looks pretty unrealistic to most people. And it's very unclear exactly where the Conservatives are heading on that relationship.
Opposition Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn has tried to focus on other issues like the health service.
Don't you want a government that actually values everybody in our society and doesn't pass by on the other side?
Corbyn has pledged to renegotiate a better Brexit deal, then hold another referendum.
So they talk about not full alignment with the single market rules, but close alignment. I think the EU might want to ask what that's about, because remember, they really didn't like it when Theresa May said, I want to pick and mix which rules I go with.
The Liberal Democrats say they would cancel Brexit altogether and could be kingmakers if no one party has a majority. But polls suggest Boris Johnson's Conservatives will win a majority. But there could be a surprise. Some 3.85 million people have newly registered to vote in the last few weeks, with roughly 2/3 aged under 35, and they tend not to vote Conservative.
I think a lot of this comes from the discontent that's previously been experienced in terms of young people feeling as though their voices don't matter in politics, or that they didn't have a say in, for example, the 2016 Brexit referendum.
The biggest surprise could happen in the Prime Minister's own constituency of Uxbridge.
We only need a 5% swing to take this seat, to unseat a Prime Minister, which would be the first time in British democracy history that that's ever happened.
Then there's the great British obsession, the weather. A cold forecast could persuade some voters to stay home. Will Britain vote for a change of direction, or will the election push Britain deeper into political quagmire? The answer will be known in the early hours of Friday. Henry Ridgewell for VOA News, London.
All right, time for us to take a very, very short breather, but do not go anywhere. We'll be right back with some sporting news. Stay with us.
Let's get sporty now. Tusker has condemned the Moneybags Wazito FC by a solitary goal win courtesy of Eric Ambonya's second half strike in one of the 4 Kenya Premier League matches played today.
In the matches, Ulinzi Stars smashed Chemelil 4-1. In form, Kakamega Homebirds secured a vital 1-0 win over Bandari, while Western Stima settled for a massive 4-1 win over Zoo.
Coming off the 3-1 win over Kariobangi Sharks, and they were the first on the attack. What a chance it was. Of course, made sure the eyes were on the ball, and he got it. Victor Ali Abondo got his chance, and from range he shot straight at goalkeeper Robert Mbo. But what a way he struck it. Good shot from range.
The Walgore brothers Thomas and Victor will seek to keep the Sawyer School Coach of the Year award in the family after they were nominated in the category.
The siblings have competed for most of their lives and will once again take their rivalry to Kenya's grandest stage in sport, the annual Safaricom Sports Personality of the Year Awards Gala, scheduled for January 24th in Mombasa.
Thomas guided Upper Hill Rugby 7 side to their maiden national title, beating the then defending champions Laser Hill before crowning their enviable season with the East Africa title on an unbeaten record. His brother Victor led Dagoretti High School Rugby 15's team to winning the Nairobi region title and finished second at the National and East Africa Games.
Another nominee for the coveted award is Kwantanzi girls volleyball tactician Justine Kigwari, who guided his team to a double, winning both the national and regional titles.
Eliud Kipchoge, the Olympic marathon champion as well as London marathon winner, Kipchoge completed his...
And elsewhere, the Kenya Open Golf Limited, who are the organizers of the Safari Golf Tour Golf Series, has today announced the decision to postpone the Muthaiga Golf Club leg of the 2019-2020 Safari Tour Golf Series, which was to take place from the 14th to 18th of December to a later date.
The decision was occasioned by the condition of the Muthaiga Golf Club course following recent rains that the country has experienced over the past few weeks. The 2019-2020 season of the tour has so far featured 6 competitions across Kenya and Uganda, in the process producing 5 different winners, among them Greg Snow, Madalitso Muthia, Tonu Omuli, Justus Madoya and Dismas Ndiza, who has won 2 tournaments.
$24 million shillings for
2 bananas.
2 bananas. You know, I actually saw something like this online, and someone actually picked a banana and then just taped it to a wall and said, now they also have their own piece of art, and they want people to go see it and actually pay for it.
They actually did. First world problems, I have to say. Our Nairobi City Governor, Mike Sonko, got out on a 50 million shillings bail.
Yes.
That's just for comparison purposes.
Yes.
24 million shillings for 2 bananas. Anyway, that's how we wrap it up here on Ebru Primetime News on this 11th day of December 2019. Thank you so much for keeping us company. My name is Mnene. Our sign language interpreter at the bottom end of your screen is Joyce Wairimo.
And my name is Winnie Lubembe. On behalf of an amazing team who put together this bulletin, from our reporters to our technical team, we want to wish you a lovely night, but do not go too far, where the update is up next. And then, of course, we have excellent programming coming right after this. Good night.